it's Cathy Cassidy. I'm going to read you chapter 2 of my book Scarlett. I hope you're enjoying it so far, and today's shout out is for my lovely friend Kiki, who's not very well today, not very well at the moment, so I'm hoping that she's much better soon. But hi, if you're watching. So here's chapter 2. I hope the rest of you, of course, are getting by in the lockdown and making the best of things. Here's your little bit of escapism anyway. So chapter 2. Of course, getting kicked out of Greenhall Academy is no joke. Head teachers and school secretaries don't scare me, but Mum, that's a different story. We travel home on the tube in stony silence, which is not good news. The first time I got excluded from Greenhall, Mum laughed and said that dyeing your hair green in the school toilets was hardly a criminal offence. Okay, I shouldn't have nicked that bottle of hydrogen peroxide from the chemistry lab, but I'd heard the stuff was used in hair dye and I was trying to get a few cool blonde streaks. I didn't know it would turn my hair into something that looked, felt and smelt like clumps of mouldering seaweed. Attractive? Not. Mum booked me into her Swish Covent Garden hairdressers and told them to cover up the mess, and I couldn't find a shade of brown I liked, so I ended up going red. Mrs. Mulhern nearly had a seizure when I walked back into school after my 3-day exclusion, with chin-length curls the colour of tomato ketchup. The next time was worse. I had a scrap with my biology teacher, Miss Jessup, a turnip-faced dictator who tried to get me to cut a worm in half in class. I mean, who wouldn't object? I can't, I'd argued, faced with a Tupperware box of worms to hand round to my fellow pupils. Seriously, it's against my religion. I'm, a Buddhist. I cannot harm any living animal. Do it, Scarlett, she'd barked. Her eyes were pinkish as she tried to stare me out, and her skin was pale and flabby. She looked kind of like an overgrown worm herself. Scalpels ready, class. I'd looked down into the Tupperware box of pink squiggling creatures, and even though they were the least cute and cuddly animals ever, I knew I couldn't do it. I couldn't let anyone else do it either. What makes it okay to chop up a worm but not a frog or a kitten or a person? It's just not right, is it? No way, I'd shouted at Miss Jessup, shaking my fist at her. Okay, I was still holding the scalpel, but there was no need for her to scream like that. I wasn't into cutting up worms, even outsize ones. I was on a rescue mission. I yanked open the first floor window and flung the box of worms out. I had some vague idea they'd land on a patch of grass and wiggle away to live happily ever after. But sadly, they landed on Miss Phipps, who was walking past below. I was in deep trouble again. You threatened your biology teacher with a knife? Mum asked me later, aghast. I didn't, I protested. I may have had a scalpel in my hand, but... Mum closed her eyes and took a long breath in, and I could tell that this time she couldn't see the funny side. You have to stop this, she told me after that second exclusion. No more breaking the school rules. No more winding up the teachers. I'm sick of it, Scarlett. I want you to make a go of Greenhall. This is your last chance, okay? I mean it. Don't throw it away. I promised I wouldn't. Oh well, it's not like I planned for this to happen, is it? We get separated in the scrum at Angel Tube Station, Mum striding on ahead, her lips set in a thin, hard line. Her mobile rings just as we reach the flat. It's her boss. No, I won't be back today, she says. Something's come up. I'll work late tomorrow to make up for it. Sure, no problem. She snaps the mobile shut and glares at me. I let myself into the shared hallway, then clomp up the stairs and let myself into the flat. I have my own key because Mum works late most nights. She follows me in, kicks off her shoes, chucks her briefcase down on the sofa. So, she says at last, another broken promise. I can't meet her gaze. Another last chance thrown away, she continues. Another school glad to see the back of you. And now they're telling me you need counselling. Ha! I study my sandals, 3 inches of swirly red wedge heels with pink and orange print uppers and crisscross red ribbon ties. There's a dull brown stain on one that may date back to the Irish stew incident. I struggle to keep my expression blank. Scarlett, what's going on? Mum explodes suddenly. What are you trying to do? Get chucked out of every school in London? I think that's a bit unfair. There are probably hundreds of schools in London I haven't been chucked out of yet. I'm disappointed in you, Scarlett. You promised me you'd work on that temper, and there you go again, worse than ever, attacking a school cook. She started it, I protest, and anyway, I didn't attack her. She tripped. Mum ignores me. This is a new personal best, even for you, she snarls. 4 months you lasted at Greenhall. It's a joke. But neither of us is laughing. I didn't mean it, I begin, but she cuts me short. No, you never do. You don't mean it, and I try to be understanding. I give you a fresh start, and you throw it back in my face. Every single time, Scarlett. 5 schools in 2 years. Are you proud of that? Maybe I am, in a funny kind of way. It's only 5 schools because you sent me away, I point out. You got sick of me and packed me off to Nan's. She got sick of me and packed me off to Uncle John's, and then he decided he'd had enough too. And here I am back with you. Don't you think that would make me just a tiny bit angry, Mum? Don't you see that? You know why I sent you to your Nan's, Mum growls. I shake my head. Can there ever be a good reason for sending your 11-year-old daughter miles and miles away to live with people she only ever sees at Christmas? I don't think so. You're out of control, Mum rages. You're a selfish, destructive little troublemaker. I work hard trying to make a nice home for you. When was the last time I had a holiday? When was the last time I really got to relax? I work hard, Scarlett, and my career is taking off. Lucky you, I say sulkily. Don't I buy you nice things, she rants on. The clothes you like, CDs, DVDs, Xbox games. You get a good allowance. What more do you want? I laugh out loud. A life? A family? But you can't argue with Mum when she gets like this. You just have to ride out the storm. I drop everything each time you get into trouble, she says. I talk to your snotty teachers and tell them you'll change, try harder, toe the line. But you won't, will you? You just couldn't care less. I shrug, switch off, let it all wash over me. Mum sits down suddenly and covers her face with one perfectly manicured hand. I don't know you anymore, she says. I don't know who you are. This makes me feel bad. Get to know me then, I tell her. It's not so difficult. I give her a shaky grin, but she's not buying it. I mean it, Scarlett. I meant it when I said that Greenhall was your last chance. I can't give you the time and attention you need. You've made that so clear. I've tried, but it's just not working. 5 schools in 2 years, and every one of them was glad to see the back of you. Your so-called friends are a nightmare. Your behaviour just gets worse and worse. Well, not anymore. I've had enough. Enough of me? I ask in a very small voice. Mum closes her eyes and lets her head fall back against the sofa. She takes a deep breath in. You need to get away from here, make a fresh start, Scarlett. It's something I've been thinking about ever since the scalpel incident and the tongue piercing. Not Nan's again, I protest. That didn't work. You said so, Mum. I was so lonely. Not Nan's, she says. It's time to try something new. Boarding school? I ask in a whisper. Please, Mum, not that. She shakes her head, pulls the clips from her hair and shakes it free. My mum looks at me, all rumpled honey blonde hair and cool blue eyes, and I'm scared. You leave me no option, Scarlett, she says. I've done all I can. I know it's something we agreed we'd never do, but really you leave me no choice. You have to learn that your actions have consequences. I've made my decision. No arguing, no discussion. It's decided. Okay? What, Mum? I ask. Just tell me. There is silence in the flat, except for the ticking of the clock, the thump of my heart. You're going to live with your dad, she says. So, very dramatic. And you will find out tomorrow, if you tune in, exactly why Scarlett is not keen on that idea. Thank you for tuning in and watching and listening. I hope you're all okay. Don't forget to leave me a comment on the YouTube channel and let me know what you think of the story so far. Let me know how you are getting on in lockdown and what you're doing to keep yourself busy. And I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.